Alright, what up YouTube? We're going to dive into a really good one. And in today's video, we're going to cover a whiteboard series that I created on a video that Joe Brown at Heresy Financial made about what CBDCs are and why a central bank digital currency would be the end of freedom in the United States and on a global scale. Ready? Let's dive in.
Everybody can see what is going on with our neighbors up north right now, despite the media's attempt at distracting people from it. And even though many hoped that elected officials would come to their senses about tyranny, instead they voted in favor of what could turn out to be the beginning of their end. Because systems cannot support the weight of tyranny. And everyone who can is right now attempting to get their wealth out. And that is the key. Right now, some of the wealth still has a chance to escape, because today, complete financial repression is not possible. But all of that changes with a central bank digital currency, a CBDC. So in this video, I'm going to explain very simply exactly what a central bank digital currency is, why governments so desperately want it, and every way that it is very different from the system we have today, terrifyingly different, because a CBDC grants totalitarian control to anybody who wields it. And as the Rothschilds said, "Let me control a nation's money, and I do not care who writes the laws." Brief history. Banks started off as gold vaults. You stored your gold with the bank and you could go get your gold with the receipt, or you could use the receipt itself as money. That works great until the bank commits fraud and loans out your gold to somebody else. You go and try and get your gold. Guess what? It's no longer there. Bank run occurs, bank collapses. This should have been outlawed. Instead, it was nationalized with the invention of the central bank. In order to prevent a local bank from collapsing when it commits fraud, might as well create a bank of the banks, a bank account where banks can store some gold so that the bank isn't susceptible to a bank run. If they get a bank run because of fraud and lending out the gold that was your gold, they can just go and get some extra gold from the central bank. But you can't eliminate risk, you can only transfer it. And instead of this risk that was isolated to individual banks, now it had been transferred to the entire banking system. Fast forward a couple hundred years, it had been centralized even more, and the Federal Reserve was the central bank of the entire world. And just as had always happened throughout history, more receipts were issued, more claims on the gold was issued, then there was gold to back it up, and the rest of the world went and started a bank run on the United States, the Federal Reserve, and said, "Give us our gold that you promised us." And in 1971, Nixon said, "Nah, we're gonna keep it." Now we live under a fiat currency system where governments can create as much currency as they want with no restraints on anything physical like gold. However, the banking system is built on hundreds of years of legacy systems and systems that are in place that were built on real restraints, as if the currency is actually backed up by something, as if banks actually need reserves, as if banks won't get a bailout from the money printer next time they need it. Your money is held digitally on a bank's balance sheet as if there's something actually there, as if it is more than just ones and zeros on a computer, as if they take your actual money and when somebody needs a loan, they lend it out. Newsflash, they don't. Banks lend money into existence. Every loan they make is money that did not exist before. This system is bad. This system is fragile. This system accelerates the concentration of wealth. It transfers wealth from the savers to the borrowers. And as bad as a system as this is, a central bank digital currency is exponentially worse. Not only is it worse, it is categorically different. And it is where we as people need to draw the line in the sand. Now, all lines are arbitrary in some sense, but if this one is crossed, most likely the only way out or back out of it is with complete systemic collapse. Remember how I said in the past, you gave your gold to the bank and the bank had its own gold account with the central bank? It's the same today, although not with gold. You have an account with your bank and the bank still has an account with the central bank. A central bank digital currency, on the other hand, bypasses, nationalizes, restructures, and renders obsolete the current traditional banking system. Every individual and every business will have a wallet or an account directly with the central bank. Instead of opening up your Chase app or your Bank of America app, you'll open up your Fed Wallet app. Now, why is this so radically different and so intensely dangerous? Because the central bank maintains a legal monopoly on the creation and the destruction of a nation's currency. Now, that power is already the most dangerous power on earth today. Pair that with the ability to directly control every transaction and account of every individual and business, concentrated and isolated among a couple dozen unelected ivory tower bureaucrats. I cannot express enough how terrified everybody in the world should be of this. The entire purpose of a central bank digital currency is to give more control over how much money exists and exactly where that money exists. This money is programmable to allow a level of fine-tuning and scalpel-like economic policy making at a degree never before seen. Right now, the central bank has to rely on bank lending and government deficit spending in order to insert new dollars into the economy. They have very little control over where those dollars end up. It's a sledgehammer approach. A central bank digital currency allows them to control that down to the penny. They could hypothetically give everybody a stimulus check that expires in 1 month in order to boost spending this month and hold off a recession. They could get everyone a food bonus, money that can only be spent at a grocery store who also has a wallet open with the Fed. They could hypothetically limit how many dollars you spend at a gas station during a specific time frame like a month if gas is getting too expensive or if gas supplies are running low. They could overnight shut off any person's ability to make any transactions whatsoever if you were deemed a criminal or dangerous or a terrorist. They could deposit dollars in your account that could only be spent on stocks if the stock market was crashing. They could prevent transactions like buying specific stocks if that stock looks to them like it's in a bubble. Right now, our neighbors up north are seeing their banks turn into the muscle for the state. The state is relying on brother versus brother, private business versus citizens. And right now, it seems pretty effective. Now imagine if a couple dozen unelected ivory tower bureaucrats can do all of this with a few strokes of the keyboard. No international wires, no usage of an ATM, no more approved business licenses without an account at the Fed, no more buying from any businesses unless you use your CBDC. And once this starts, you can imagine now how difficult it is to get out of this, to undo this, to backpedal and move out. You won't be able to use your CBDC to buy any gold. You won't be able to use any to buy Bitcoin. You won't be able to transfer any of your wealth out to make an investment in a different country in order to purchase citizenship by investment. You won't be able to rely on it in times of crisis to buy an airplane ticket out of the country or at least to specific countries. All in the name of economic stability. All in the name of preventing money laundering. All in the name of national security. All of this in reality accomplishing the death of democracy and the fatality of freedom. A central bank digital currency is where I draw the line, because anybody who crosses it may not be able to cross it back. Start getting your wealth out of the system right now while you can, because as we speak today, there are people who said that could never happen here, and they woke up and they realized it did.
I mean, did Joe not crush it in that? I mean, big shout out to Joe Brown at Heresy Financial. If you guys have not watched his content, hands down the best, quote unquote, not a financial advisor on YouTube. So appreciate you, Joe. Thank you so much. If you guys want to learn more about the economics or economies or inflation or how money works or how central banks work, there is no better guy than Joe Brown. He's your man. So I appreciate you, Joe. Appreciate everybody that goes out of their way to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. The more people that we can help educate about central bank digital currencies, the better that this world will become, because there is absolutely no exception. So guys, make sure you guys swing over to Joe's channel, show him some love. Again, my name's Ryan Mehta, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.